what really started me on this journey was I was in a long-term relationship that was pretty dysfunctional, and I got to a place where I decided that I wasn't going to live forever, so I needed to do something about that relationship, to do something about my life. So I decided to move on from that relationship, and as a result I started looking into why was I so fucked up, really, and I'd been a nurse for a long time, and then I started working with a holistic GP who had a whole different kind of spin on things. He was a little bit different to anyone I'd really met before, and he started, I remember he used to have a t-shirt that said, "What is wrong with you is beside the point, what is right with you is the starting point," and that kind of really got me intrigued, and it was pretty much his philosophy. And as a result of that, I just started looking at things in a different way and started getting into all of these personal development workshops and things, and one of those was about emotional intelligence, and I just felt like I'd come home. It was just, there was so much fun and intensity of feeling, and they hugged you there, and being hugged was something that I didn't realise, but that's what I'd really been looking for years.
I often get asked what happened in my journey, or what was my journey about to go from being a farmer of all things in Western Victoria to being tantric relationship sexuality counsellor facilitator in Byron Bay. And I often get asked that question, and I often think, what the heck happened? How did that happen? And when I think about it, when I was in Victoria there, I was very good at what I did. I was a farmer, and I was very good at it, an earth moving business as well. And I woke up one day. I always had a vision of how that wanted to be for me, and I actually got there. I actually achieved what it was that I wanted, and I got there probably, I'd say, about 15 years ago. I actually achieved what I'd set out to do. I had a large business, a lot of serious toys, the boys and the toys. I had the toys. I had a lot of toys, and I had a lot of fun with those toys, and it was something that I couldn't really understand. But it seemed like there one day, I remember standing out the front of the workshop, a huge workshop, doing my own repairs, I was a mechanic and an engineer and stuff like that, and I enjoyed doing all that. And I was out in front of the workshop there one day, and I was just standing there, and I thought, there's got to be more to it than this.
And it was at one of those workshops that I met Graham, and I think I was sitting on his foot at the time while he was going through some anger release process, and afterwards we kind of got together and we're just talking about where we'd been in life, and I decided to take a risk and actually start a relationship with him, because at that point I didn't really feel like I was ready for a relationship. And I thought, well, here he is, and my pattern would be to say, no, I'm not ready, so why not take a risk and do the opposite?
I could say out of the blue, but it seemed like it was inevitable that my wife left, and that just put me in a very, very dark place very quickly. And it seemed like all the stuff that I hadn't resolved with in the past came to the surface, and I was in a really dark place, to the point where I was out in the paddock with a shotgun there one day, ready to blow my brains out. I got a friend who was a counsellor, and I went and saw her, and I was talking to her, and she said, okay, you just got to go and do this, this and this, and okay. And then about 3 weeks later, I got into a workshop, personal development workshop, and that was the one where I met Annette, and that was the beginning of finding out what had actually happened to me, and also what I was not doing. Like, I'd done a lot of training, I'd done a lot of courses, I was a qualified counsellor, and worked with Lifeline, and I'd done all that stuff. But what I was doing was I was doing my stuff outside of me. I wasn't doing my stuff inside. And what happened at that workshop is I got a very blunt and very abrupt look at what was happening on inside. And at one point they're doing an anger session. I had 3 men or 4 men, locals in the Horsham area, sitting on my chest, and I had Annette sitting and holding my ankles down and expressing anger, and it was something I'd never ever done before. And I just got a glimpse of what was inside, and
makes the place where we ended up in sound pretty amazing. But and so we went to Byron Bay, came here to Byron Bay and did a workshop with Oceana and Icarus of Oz Tantra, funnily enough. and it was a couples workshop, and we had this beautiful romantic week, and Graham was focusing so much attention on me, and we stayed a few days afterwards, and it was just wonderful. And then we went home, and he went out to work, and I went into complete abandonment. And that kind of showed me, wow, okay, there must be something more going on here. And I really started to learn that Tantra is not just about being romantic or about being togetherness. It's really about the journey into myself and being more whole in myself. And so having that hook, then we started going back and doing all of Oceana and Icarus's workshops, just really looking at what is the tantric journey, and that it's so much more than just a relationship. It's about relationship with myself, and how I see myself, and how I come to be comfortable with myself.
It works for us, and all the stuff that we bring into Oz Tantra, into our workshops, our sessions, Skype, everything is a direct result of my journey, of our journey together in a relationship from that background. And yeah, it's been full on, it's been very intense, and what we do works. It really works, because we know it works, because we've used it on ourselves. And if you really want to learn the depth of Tantra, is to do this journey inside a committed relationship. And as Osho said, you can live in a cave for 40 years, but you absolutely know nothing about yourself until somebody moves in with you and tells you to clean your shit up. The biggest challenge in the business so far is just getting my mind around the complexity of the issues involved, and also too that sexuality is just such a big part of who we are, and we do live in a very sex negative culture. So learning the language from the out there wacky Tantra stuff and bringing that into mainstream has been a real challenge, and we've come up with something that really works.